Hello, and welcome to the Cloud Services webinar. Today is the 23rd of October, and we're going to discuss some details around cloud services. Today's agenda will focus on three particular items. First, we're going to discuss the cloud overview, just give an idea about what the cloud is, the various items that can make up the cloud environment, and just ultimately give an overall overview of just what the cloud means. Second, we'll be going over Microsoft Office 365 and Azure. Office 365 and Azure are both cloud products that are offered by Microsoft that have been released recently, and they're also products that we can leverage to use with our Microsoft Dynamics product. So you'll see a lot in the coming future in relation to Dynamics, NAV, AX, CRM, and the other products, and how we can do integrations with Office 365, or how we can deploy it on Microsoft's Windows Azure platform. Last but not least, we'll be talking about cloud offering. Tectura does offer its cloud services as a service to our customers, and we also deploy Microsoft Dynamics and Office 365 as part of our cloud offerings. We just want to bring some awareness to the environment and to the general audience that these are things that we can deliver to you, and in essence, Tectura can become a one-stop shop for your organization. Starting off to introduce myself, my name is Floyd Gilchrist. I'm both a Microsoft Certified Professional and Technology Specialist. My main focus is in the areas of Microsoft Dynamics NAV, AX, and CRM. Also, I work very closely with the retail product integrations for the Dynamics platforms, in particular LS Retail for NAV and AX for Retail, which is within Microsoft Dynamics AX. Also, I work a lot with performance tuning. So if you're having issues with your environment and you need some help with trying to figure out why your system seems to be performing slower over the days or months, or if there are issues just where certain processes are not performing as adequate as they should be, then ultimately you can engage Tectura for performance tuning services. I actually lead that practice over here in the South Asia region. As far as SQL Server related services, if you need assistance with high availability or database transaction logging, mirroring, or any type of SQL related services, we can provide those to you. Also an area of system and network architecture and server and system building. Now, starting to talk about our cloud overview, there are quite a few different areas that we may hear about that make up our cloud. One of those areas is infrastructure as a service, or also known as IaaS. Now, infrastructure as a service is where you can actually purchase or subscribe to infrastructure-related services in a cloud environment, which will allow you full capabilities to manage your resources and custom applications and deliver those from that cloud environment. You can ultimately use and leverage things such as storage, servers, networking, and much more items within the infrastructure environment of a cloud. The benefits that you get by using infrastructure as a service is that you can actually lower your upfront cost of having to invest in hardware for your on-premise environment. Instead, that hardware is already available to you out in the cloud environment. You can ultimately subscribe to it on a monthly basis. You can spin up resources, or you can, lower the amount of resources you're using pretty much on demand. And you pretty much only pay for what you're utilizing. So the infrastructure as a service is a very popular model that's been around for quite a while, and now is becoming more common as everybody looks to reevaluate their storage options or server options. Another area that we hear about is platform as a service. This is an area where if I don't want to make the investment in infrastructure-related resources and all the development software and tools that would be required to deploy my applications, well, I can actually leverage platform as a service to do that for me. Within the cloud environment, for instance, Microsoft's Azure platform, you can pretty much use a range of tools to be able to deploy and facilitate the delivery of your applications. Some examples are SQL Azure and Windows Azure App Fabric, to name a couple. The third item that we hear about, and probably we hear about most commonly, is software as a service. This is actually where my infrastructure and platform are delivered to me, but also the software layer is delivered to me as well as a service. This delivery can be delivery of my applications such as Microsoft Dynamics or Office 365. I subscribe to that on a monthly basis and ultimately able to leverage that software on demand when it's needed. And again, it's pretty much on a pay-per-user model, and you can turn it on and turn it off when it's needed. And the beauty of the software as a service is that I can access it when I need it and where I need it. To put that makeup more into a graphical format, infrastructure as a service makes up the base layer of the cloud. Platform as a service is built on top of the infrastructure, and ultimately software as a service is that delivery model on the top. So just going through that again, infrastructure as a service, you have your network components, your servers and virtual machines make up that infrastructure layer, and those servers can be physical or virtualized. Platform as a service is where you develop and build that API and framework, and then ultimately software as a service is where you're delivering those applications and related services to the desktop. Windows Azure. Now, some of us may have heard that name, but may again not be familiar with what Windows Azure is exactly. Windows Azure is actually a platform that Microsoft has designed from the ground up, and ultimately is open and flexible cloud platform that is managed by Microsoft. It allows you to take advantage of a global data center footprint that you can build, deploy, and integrate public cloud applications to your environment. Windows Azure is very flexible overall as far as where you can deploy it. Globally, their data center reach is across every major region, and Azure is growing by the day. So in the coming months, you may find where Azure may not be available in your local country in a local data center, it will be there eventually. So I would say stay tuned for Windows Azure, as you will see a lot more coming in the coming months about the platform. Again, Windows Azure also comes with a lot of benefits because Microsoft Dynamics NAV has been built to be fully integrated into Windows Azure. So for instance, you can deploy a Microsoft Dynamics NAV application into the Windows Azure cloud and ultimately make it available to your users either through a Windows client, which can be installed locally on your machine, and that ultimately talks directly to the environment in the cloud, wherever that may be deployed, or it can be developed and deployed on a web browser. So there's no client installation that's necessary for Microsoft Dynamics NAV. The benefit of this, as you may be thinking, is, wow, now that opens the door for me not just to have to deploy it on my typical Windows 8 machine or Windows 7 machine or my terminal server. Now it opens the door for you to be able to use NAV on many different device platforms. It could be on a Windows tablet. It could be on another type of tablet that's not a Windows device. There's compatibility that suddenly opens up all across the board as far as how you can leverage Microsoft Dynamics NAV. And Microsoft Dynamics will be taking the same approach with a lot of product platforms in the coming months and over the next year. The second part of this that comes into play is Office 365. Now, many of us may be familiar with Office 365 because this is a product that is available both in the business and at home. So some of us that are actually participating in this webinar may be very familiar with Office 365 because you may use it in your home already. And businesses are adopting Office 365 as the product of choice every day. When it comes to evaluating licensing for Office 365, as you can see, the product inclusions for Office 365 include Outlook, Word, Excel, OneNote, and many other features that you've always been familiar with the Office suite. But it doesn't just stop there. You can actually take it even further, and now with Office 365, I have a fully fledged Windows SharePoint environment that's delivered to me that I can actually now interact and collaborate with all of the people within my business and ultimately share file data, deploy sites, do all kinds of things that I could not do with just my basic on-premise Office suite. And then it also gives me a capability of link out of the box as well. So now I can suddenly collaborate with the various people within the office and see, within a glance, whether they're online, if they're in a meeting, if they're in a call. All those things now I can see just right at a glance from my desktop. And the beauty is, again, just like with the other Office products, and as we're talking about with Azure, I now have that benefit to be able to use these products anywhere, anytime, on any type of device. Link is available on Windows-based platforms and non-Windows-based platforms alike. And SharePoint, as we know, we can use SharePoint on many different web platforms as well. This is a subscription-based product. So again, where I'm looking at licensing costs, it reduces my upfront cost as far as what I have to invest, because now I'm just paying on a per user model, and again I can add users or reduce the amount of users when needed. The third item on this list here we see is full use and delivery of Office Suite online or local. The main reason this comes into play is because a lot of people think when you see Office 365 is, it's an online version. Therefore, it may not suit me well because my connectivity is very slow. Well, that's not necessarily true, because Office 365, you have the capability of delivering the full install of Office locally on your machine, which ultimately can connect up into the cloud environment as well. So you don't lose any flexibility when it comes to Microsoft Office. You're actually gaining a lot of options when you're using the Office suite. Now, another area of what's included with Office 365 is when we look at Outlook. Of course, one of the areas we look at evaluating is if we're running our own on-premise Exchange servers. Okay, I need to now look at my Exchange and figure out what upgrade path do I take to get myself current with Microsoft Exchange, and how much storage do I need to allocate for Exchange Server to accommodate the amount of users within the environment. Well, now when you look at Office 365, that's no longer an issue either. With Office 365, not only is it giving me Microsoft Outlook to connect to my email, but it's also giving me an email account on the Exchange Online platform. And by default, my users are all given a decent amount of gigabytes of space per user account to be able to send and receive email and store emails within the cloud. So now, that upgrade path to Exchange suddenly becomes a lot more cost-effective, because I don't have to invest in more hardware for another Exchange server, and I can actually utilize the Microsoft Online Exchange platform to be able to facilitate and manage my email. So it also takes all that, all those requirements as far as online availability and making sure that everything is being properly maintained to being pushed to the Microsoft platform. So just to go back through some of those Office 365 and Azure benefits, is we are looking at, when we're looking at Azure and Office 365, a Microsoft managed and delivered infrastructure. This is utilizing their platform and technology, and we can integrate into that platform and technology very easily. There's full scalability of that environment, as we need to add users, whether it's on Office 365 or to the Azure platform. Suddenly that becomes very easy. There's no need to invest in hardware on premise. I can do that all in the cloud, and it's all really available to me when I need it. High availability is there by design. Office 365 has high availability built into it as far as the online capabilities of it, so you never have to worry about downtime on Exchange or those other platforms that you used to have to worry about with your on-premise environment. And there's also the option to deliver to multiple environments. So now I can deliver to my Windows-based machines, my tablets, or I can utilize a web browser on pretty much any machine that I have available and be able to access my environment. So now when we're looking at these different products, a lot of people on the call may think, well, that's great. I've heard about Azure, I've heard about Office 365, and I've heard about some wonderful things in relation to NAV. Now, when we're taking all those things and bringing them together, NAV fully integrates into Office 365. So if you're looking to upgrade your Microsoft Dynamics NAV environment to the latest version, which currently is NAV 2013 R2, suddenly you can take all these different technology enhancements that Microsoft has brought and look at it and say, well, now I can actually make use of all these different products, and it becomes very easy with a very low upfront investment required from myself. I can now deploy Microsoft Dynamics NAV on the Windows Azure environment, and if I'm using an Office 365, Microsoft Dynamics NAV can fully integrate into that Office 365 environment. So when your users are logging into their web portal for Office 365, they can suddenly see their NAV functions and environment right on the Office 365 platform. So as you can see on here, they can access their Outlook, they can access the calendar, people, communicate via link, they can access SharePoint, and all the different things that are available within Office 365, and also do their day-to-day functions within NAV, all within the same portal. So now you see there's a sudden seamless integration into all my products right within one screen. Last but not least, talking about all these different areas, again, you may be thinking that's great, but now how do I go about getting these different things into my environment? Tectura can actually help you with all those areas. Tectura actually has a cloud services team that focuses specifically on delivery, architecture, and working with you on your requirements related to getting your items into the cloud. If you currently have a completely on-premise environment and you're looking to either just get infrastructure as a service because you may have an IT team in-house that can do all the management for you and they do it according to your business standards, that's fine. We can actually work with you and provide you with infrastructure that's required to deploy all your applications in your environment. If you need platform as a service or software as a service, we can deliver that as well. We deliver Dynamics NAV, CRM, and AX as a service via the cloud, and we do that via our data centers and also on the Windows Azure platform. They can also be delivered in a country that's closest to where you're located if one of the requirements is that you want to have it delivered in country. And these cloud services cover a range of all the Dynamics products, SharePoint, Exchange, Microsoft SQL, and of course Office 365. So if you're looking for just assistance with strategy and planning, migration, application and development, security, enablement, brokerage, all those different things that would be required to get your environment up and running in the cloud, we can assist you with those items. Some of the benefits that you'll find with the Tectura Cloud is that we do have the capability of offering you a public, private, or hybrid cloud option. This can be fully managed and optimized by Tectura, or we can actually provide you full management of the environment so that you can control it on your side. The data center footprint that we have is global, so whether you're located in the United States, Indonesia, Malaysia, Australia, wherever you may be in the world, we can deliver to you locally. Delivery of Office 365, Dynamics, and Exchange are all things we can do. High availability and disaster recovery are not a problem, and those are very easily delivered from our cloud environment. All of this comes at a simple and cost-effective per user, per month model delivery. We also work a lot with software sales and licensing. A lot of times when we're looking at deploying, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud, there's always that question of licensing. Well, you can look to us for that as well. We provide licensing across all the various Microsoft products and also with a few other additional productivity products as well. And we can provide you perpetual or subscription-based licensing depending on what the needs are for the environment. One thing we're also able to do as well is if you have a requirement where you have to keep your hardware on-premise, that's not a problem. And of course, one of the issues we come across may be that you don't want to make the huge upfront investment for licensing. Again, that's not a problem as well. We can provide you with subscription-based licensing on your on-premise hardware. So if you do have questions or you're interested in that, please contact us and we'll be happy to work with you and consult with you on the best way to license your environment. So if there are any questions regarding this presentation today, please feel free to contact us at any time, and we'll be happy to work with you and ultimately provide any type of cloud services support that you'll need. Thanks and have a good day.